Good afternoon. So, back at Camp Cottrelle. Today I'm going to take you through, for a walk through the woods. Myself and Oreo going to enjoy a walk through the woods. So today I'm going to tell you a story about something that happened 40 years ago when I was 17. And at 17 years old, I was sentenced to 16 months in jail for the attempted robbery of a taxi driver. And at that time, in 1984, they sent young people over the age of 16 into general population in all the jails in Ontario and throughout Canada, including all the penitentiaries. So instead of serving my time at the Sarnia jail here in Sarnia, which is a local county jail, they considered that too much time, so I ended up having to serve my sentence at Maplehurst Correctional Center in Milton, Ontario, just west of Toronto. And this was my second time at Maplehurst, so I was pretty experienced with the whole deal. And I got paroled the first time when I was at Maplehurst, and so I was back serving more time again for pretty much the same thing, and more robberies attempts and stuff like that. And so I was quite the rebellious young teenager, and I didn't want to stay. I began to contemplate the idea of escaping, and because I wanted to be able to say that I did it when I got older, I wanted to say I escaped from Maplehurst when I was 17, and so that was one of the reasons why I did it. So it happened right at the end of May. 1984, and I began running the idea by several other inmates about my age, 17, 18, and 19. A couple of them agreed to it, and they said, "Yeah, maybe. If I didn't have a parole hearing coming up, I'd probably do it, or if if I had more time, I'd probably do it." But I found one guy who was agreeable to it, and we began to make plans of how this was going to happen, how this escape was going to happen. So I was sentenced in March to 16 months, and this was only May, and I knew I wasn't going to get parole again because I already violated my parole the first time. It would be hard to get a parole again from this sentence. So I was already sentenced to 14 months, and I got paroled from it after 5 months. But this time the same thing wasn't going to happen. I was doomed to spend about a year in jail before I was released on what they called being released on time off for good behavior. So you get 1/3 knocked off your sentence if you keep your nose clean and don't get in trouble and that sort of thing. But I was getting more rebellious. I was starting to not really care. I began to accept that I wasn't going to get out. And so once you get past that point where you accept where you are and accept your surroundings, accept your predicament, you could become a very hardened criminal. And that's what was beginning to happen. I was becoming more of a hardened criminal at the age of 17. So I figured once we escaped, if we escaped, I would take my friend. His name was Al LaCroix. He was about 17. I guess, yeah, we were the same age actually. Yeah. So he was a white guy. I'm not sure where he was from, and I don't really know too much of his history. All I know is that we crossed paths at Maplehurst in 1984, and we became buddies. And having said that, we stuck together for the first couple months of my sentence, and he was just starting out his sentence too. So we had a lot more freedom at Maplehurst at that time. There wasn't like maximum security all over the place like it is now, and it wasn't a super jail at that time. It was just a correctional center, and it was more, it was more young people, first time offenders oriented. So we got a lot of time out into we didn't get locked up in cells. We were assigned all these little rooms that were the size of cells. You get a desk and a bed and a mattress and the blankets, the whole deal, right? It's a comfortable. It was almost like a college, but it was, and you could go to school there, work, learn a trade, and so we were going to school at that time. So we would go to school, and they had a school right inside Maplehurst. We come and go from the units. They weren't called cell blocks; they were called units. And so we were on unit unit 1. That was in Maplehurst at that time. It was called Unit 1. It was a school unit. So I tried to figure out how I would get how I was going to do this, because there were horizontal bars, thick horizontal bars on the windows. Even though it was a medium security jail, there was also a fence around it, 18-foot fence with 6 feet of chicken wire from the top, and there was razor wire on the top with the bars bent inwards towards inside the prison like this on the top, and the razor wire was on top, coiled on top of all that all the way around. So escaping wasn't that easy, not without being seen anyways. So we tried to contemplate the idea of escaping during the night, and that would mean I would have to try to hacksaw those horizontal bars, at least mine out, and somehow get his out too at the same time. But I thought about doing this like even by myself. In the event of doing this myself, I would have cut the bars, right? If I could try to get a hacksaw blade somehow. But that idea didn't work. So finally, the idea that we came up with was we had the ball diamond there. It's all the inmates from the different units. This was all the inmates' time out in the yard, recreation. Like it's a big prison, but there was fences around it, and there was limited to boundaries to where you could go throughout the jail, throughout the prison. And so we would walk around that yard. There was a quarter-mile track around the yard you could run around. There was ball diamonds. There was a soccer field, just like a college, right? And so that's pretty much how I started out. At that 16 months was at Sarnia Jail, and then I got transferred on a bus, on a prison bus, shackled on my legs, leg manacles, and handcuffs on my wrists, right? So up front. So that's how they transferred us to the jails, the different jails throughout Ontario at the time. So I decided we're gonna wait till one of the days where they brought out a rake for the ball diamond. So they had a recreation, inmates work on recreation, that would bring these rakes out so that you could rake the ball diamond, right, for the ball players, so they could have a awesome baseball game. And so every once in a while, after a few hits were home runs were hit or whatever, and they ran around, they'd rake the track back up again, or rake the diamond up again. So I noticed that they did this about 2 or 3 times, or when they started bringing us out in the spring to the yard for our recreation time. And they would often do it on a Saturday. So that's what me and Al planned, was to do it on a Saturday, escape on a Saturday. But we're going to use that rake, because the rake, right? It's the rake on the rake. The teeth are about this big, so this would have fit right into the chicken wire, because the chicken wire is only a quarter. The chicken wire is only a quarter, right? And you can't even get your fingers through that chicken wire. But the rake, if I would have hooked on, we could pull ourselves up, right? We could pull ourselves up to the top with that rake, and get through that 6 feet of chicken wire and reach for the bars that were coming inwards, and reach up and pull ourselves up. And so that's how we would escape. And so we went over that idea a few times, and ended up telling a couple people. And so a couple people began to tell two friends and tell two friends and so on. But it all happened on that morning. So there was a lot of people sitting out on the bleachers and out in the yard doing recreation, right? And they were supposed to bring us in at about 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So the more it got closer to 3, the more terrified I was becoming. And Al wouldn't do it either until I ran. So he said, "Look, these guys are like, they're pressuring us, or they're teasing us, or they're saying stuff. You know, they're saying that we don't got no balls, we got no jam, and that we don't got the nerve to do it." So that's what started getting me worked up. And so that day that we were out in the yard, though, the one thing that happened was that day they did not put the rake out. They didn't put the rake out, and so that was a little bit of a problem. So now we got all these people that knew that we were going to try to attempt an escape, so they wanted a show. And so we were pretty much forced to do what we were going to say, what we were going to do. Otherwise, a lot of people are going to be pissed off, and we're going to look like dummies. So we made a run for that. At first, I sat on a bench and I worked myself up, and just before 3 o'clock, I was the first one to make a run for it. The fence was maybe from here to that small tree right there. From here to there, and I ran towards it like that, ran for it, and I jumped up and got myself up on the links like this, and started climbing up. And then Al, he was right behind me. And as soon as I jumped up off the bench, he was off the bench, and we both ran for it. And so we were both up on the fence, right? We're both up on the fence, and all the inmates are yelling, "Go, go, go, go boys, go boys, go boys," which means escaped prisoners, right? The guards already seen us. The guards had already seen us climbing up, and they're all yelling, get down, this is a direct order, get off the fence, get off the fence." And but we kept on climbing, and before I knew it, Al was way up on the top, and they were saying, reach, because he's got his hand down, right? He had his hand down, like his hand down. He's looking down like that and reaching, like, for me to grab onto, and I couldn't quite reach it because there was still 6 feet of chicken wire, and I fell down to the ground, and then I jumped up again, trying to climb again, and here's Al. He was reaching down again. He said, come on, Richard, come on, Richard, come on, let's go. But I couldn't do it. Then all the inmates behind us were saying, just go, 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 go. And I fell down again on the ground, and that was when the guards came and tackled me, and they put my hands behind my back like that. Put my hands behind my back and had me handcuffed. Well, the one guy, he had me one arm up like that. That's what he did, in an arm lock. The jail guard, and brought me into segregation like that, and then I got handcuffed on the way in, and So they separated me and Al, but Al made it over. And last time I saw Al, how he got up was not with a rake. The rake, he was taller than me by about 4 inches. And so he used his shirt. He took his shirt right off. Which was brown dress shirts at the time. It's long sleeve dress shirts. So he used that to pull himself all the way up to the top. And he sat up on top for a couple minutes to try to help pull me up, but I couldn't reach his hand. His hand was just a couple more inches too far. I couldn't reach, and so I just pretty much surrendered it right there, and I ended up getting thrown in the segregation unit for attempted escape and for attempting to assault one of the officers and disobeying a direct order. When I was told to get down off the fence, I refused to do so. And Al was captured. About an hour later, he ran across the 401, but he was trying to cut across the water. It was like a pond or something like that. And the OPPs, Gulf OPPs, seen him there, and they started throwing small stones into the water where they think they seen him. And he popped up. He says, "Ouch!" And that's how they caught him. They hit him with a small stone, and he said, "Ouch!" And they went and arrested him and brought him to the Guelph jail. And so I saw him again, though, at Millbrook Reformatory. I was classified for Millbrook Reformatory after that, 4 days later. So I ended up having to spend the entire summer of 1984 at the Metropolitan Toronto West Detention Center, close to Maplehurst. So that's where I had to get reclassified again. So I had to go into maximum security because of my escape attempt, and my security level had changed to maximum, and so did Al. So Al ended up getting charged by the police, street charged, they call it. Not institution charges. There's a difference between institution charges and street charges. Street charges are criminal charges. Institution charges are just infractions of the rules of whatever jail you're in. So that's what I got. Attempted escape and disobeying a direct order and attempted assault on the police officer, correction officer, the jail guard. So for all that, I lost 30 days good time. So I ended up having to spend 11 months out of 16 months in jail, when I could have spent only 10 months, but I got basically getting another month tacked on. Al, he got street charged. He got charged with unlawfully a large escape from Maplehurst, and he was sentenced to 6 months in jail. So he was doing a year sentence. He would have probably got parole after 6 months, but with that escape, he ended up having stay a lot longer. He ended up he got sentenced to 6 more months, so that would have been a total of 18 months. So he would have got paroled after 8 months, or after 4 months. He would have been released after 8 months. But since he did that, since I talked him into doing that, so I was a bad influence on him too. But that's how it ended up. Before that, there was another escape, and that almost screwed up our own escape attempt. And what had happened there was another couple of young men that were on a work gang, a woodcutting crew gang from Maplehurst. They would take out woodcutters and people to work on a work gang, inmates to work on a work gang out into the community. And these guys got drunk. They ended up getting a 40 ouncer of whiskey smuggled in. They got drunk. They wanted to party some more, and they ended up taking an axe, grabbing an axe, and they took the guard hostage. And so they didn't get very far. They got caught right away, and the Guelph OPPs arrested both these young men at gunpoint after the jail guard recognized another prison vehicle. So they were out looking for these guys. recognized another vehicle. As soon as he seen that other vehicle from Maplehurst, he swerved. He grabbed the wheel, grabbed the wheel like that, and swerved it into the ditch. Put the vehicle in the ditch, and that's when the cops came up and with guns drawn and took the two guys into custody. And so when I went over to Millbrook, I saw Al there, my escape partner, and the guy that took the axe with the guard hostage with the axe. So all of us ended up in Millbrook, the maximum security place. And so we ended up in Millbrook. And I ended up doing the 11 months. 11 months out of the whole thing. Out of the 16 months. And so it's not like I got another charge or anything like that. But so that's the story of the escape from Maplehurst that happened 40 years ago. And I'll tell you another one that happened 40 years ago. 40 years ago. 42 years ago actually, but it happened in the same time around this time in the 1980s. So I hope you enjoyed my story. All I can tell you is live out your dreams and don't leave home unless you have to, like I did. At Camp Cottrelle, Richard and Oreo. Have a wonderful day.